In this video, we're going to pick up where we left off in part one. We're going to template out the first half of the transmission tunnel, transfer that to sheet metal, and then finally make our bends. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Dan and you're watching RestoCar, your source for DIY content to help you finish those builds. And hey, if your passion is restoring cars, please consider subscribing because that's what we're all about here at RestoCar. And don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you get alerts whenever we post new videos. Let's get on with the show. All right guys, so we're back on the transmission tunnel. I put it off for so long because I was looking to make a homemade tool to make the bending of the sheet metal a little easier because I'm using 18 gauge. But I couldn't find what I needed, so I don't want to put it off anymore. I'm going to get back to my car. This transmission tunnel is preventing me from getting the car flipped over and all that. So we're going to go ahead and tackle it today. And today we're going to work on the first half. So basically what I've done is I've taken out all the 1/8 inch rods because I know I got all my spacers correct in here the way I want them. And I replaced it with rods double the size. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to work on this part first because again I want that original overlap that's here. So I'm going to go ahead and just basically tape paper to all this and create a template that's pretty close, and then we'll transfer it over to sheet metal and make our bends. Alright guys, so what I have here is some poster board and some tape, and we're going to get this as close as we can, and then we'll trim it on both sides. And if you have to, you just tape multiple pieces together, which is what I'm going to do here because my poster board isn't long enough. Here's a quick look at what I got. So it's taped to the car, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go underneath the car and kind of trace around the lines I have so that I can make a nice cut on the template. Let's go take a look at the other side. Here's a look at the other side. So again, I'm going to go underneath, trace around, make the cuts. And so I'm going to have to make some cuts this way and then also up here because this is way too long right now. Alright guys, so now that I have everything marked underneath, I'm going to go ahead and mark the paper to the tape so that I know exactly where this goes when I put it back. So I'm going to take a razor blade and cut along the edge of the paper here, leaving the tape behind, and then I'll be able to transfer my marks from the paper to the metal. Alright guys, so here's the back side of the paper where I marked everything. You can see here, this is the part that was up against the firewall. I'll go ahead and mark that. And then this is back, and this is all extra in here. I'm going to leave a little bit extra around, well, maybe not here. We'll leave a little extra in the sheet metal and then we can trim it when we're done. Alright, so here's what we got right now, kind of rough cut. Let's go ahead and fit it back in the car and see what we get. Alright guys, so I got the piece back in and then I just cut this straight edge piece. I had to tape some together to get long enough, and what I did is I ran it from the beads in the floor from one side to the other and kind of over, and I'm just getting it sort of where I think it would be, where it kind of looks like it's all coming up nice and straight over this. And then I adjusted my rod underneath here, so I'm pretty happy with this. And now I'm just going to go ahead and trim around that with the razor, and I think then we'll be ready to kind of transfer this over to metal. And then just so this doesn't move, I'm going to try to tape this rod down. I didn't weld these in. Alright, so I just cut this out and I taped the rod to the board, to the paper, so that nothing moves here. And now we're going to just go ahead and trim all this up. Alright guys, so here's a look at the final template. Everything's cut out. I just cut it out with the razor blade. And as you saw in that one, I got the rod where I wanted it, where I felt like good about it going up and over using that other piece of paper. And then all I did was I just trimmed on the inside of the rod. And the reason I did that is because I have it in this bead here, and the panel this panel here is going to be ending before that bead. So we just went right before it. Alright guys, now that we got the template cut out, we're going to go ahead and transfer it over to sheet metal, and we're going to start making our bends. Alright guys, so now we have the template sitting on a piece of 18 gauge sheet metal. I've already cleaned the sheet metal pretty good because you can see there's some rust around the edges and everything because it's been sitting. So now what I'm going to do is just line up the template. Now this end here I kept straight on purpose of the template. I used the factory edge of the poster board, and then what I'm going to do is just line it up with the factory edge of the sheet metal, trace around the other stuff. Now I already have a little bit of extra in the template, or like on the side that's going towards the center of the car. But on the edges I'm going to leave about an extra 1/4 inch. And that'll just let me trim things up a little bit, and you know the metal bends a little differently than the paper. I mean, it'll bend close, but we'll go ahead and just leave a 1/4 inch. The other thing is I have some corners here. I don't like necessarily welding corners. I'd rather have rounded edges, you know, so that extra bit here will let me trim that out on the car and, you know, make a rounded edge there. So let's go ahead and trace this out. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and then we'll be ready. Alright guys, so we got everything cut out here. You can see the template here. And I left a little bit of extra over here on both sides. So now what we got to do is we got to transfer these marks over to the sheet metal. My markers aren't good enough to write on the sheet metal, so I'm just going to throw some tape on there. All right, so it's pretty good. On to the fun part. Now we got to bend this thing. So you might be wondering what this is. All right guys, so now we got to bend the sheet metal. I was looking for metal pipe, you know, some thicker stuff and bigger, like 6-inch pipe and everything, and I couldn't find any. I didn't try too hard, but I couldn't find any. And that was my plan A for bending this sheet metal, but I don't have it and I don't want to wait any longer. So I'm going to try this 4-inch piece of Schedule 40 PVC pipe, and I guess for starters, I'm just going to go ahead and try to make the bends by pushing down on it this way. I have it clamped to my bench, and we're just going to try to go like this and do it. Worst case, I can slide it between the bench and the pipe and then push up on it if I have to. But I'm going to try some nice easy bends and try to make that and see what happens. The other thing is that out here on the ends, kind of want to turn this a little bit and make my bends. Now I could probably draw some lines on here, but then I wouldn't know what I'd be doing. So I'll just go ahead and wing this and see how it goes. So I can tell from doing this why people draw lines on it, and it's so that you're getting even bends across it, because I can tell right now that without the lines, I'm not exactly sure what angle to bend this thing at. I'm sure it doesn't matter, but in my case, the transmission tunnel isn't symmetrical on both sides. It's a little longer on the left side because that's just how the car was. So what I got now so far, just from the little bending I'm doing, you can see little too flat right in here. Got to put some curve to that. Alright guys, and all I'm doing is just running back and forth to the car, setting it on top of the wire to test fit it. Alright guys, so we got the piece pretty much bent as good as I'm going to be able to get it. And I got it clamped in place right now. And everything looks pretty good. Push up here, the marks line up pretty good. And I have a little bit of extra material here that I need to cut back, and then the same thing on the other side. So I think we're good to go. We're just going to go ahead and trim some of this up. And basically what we're going to try to do is get this to sit flat. So Alright guys, so that's all we have for this one. In the next episode, we are going to roll the bead and get this piece tacked in place. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you get alerts when we post the next video. We'll see you in the next one.